Growing up on a farm where we made everything ourselves. As a kid, I learnt to make gates and fix fences, wire fences, so making the gates out of wood, tantalised wood, fixing the fencing, a certain degree of just learning a whole lot of manipulative skills, how to make flax into rope, although we didn't need it for functional purposes, but little things like that I picked up. It meant that I had a whole lot of material knowledge and skills. I wasn't particularly drawn towards painting, although we had a lot of beautiful paintings in the house, having had an art collector in the family way back, a few generations. My sister became a painter, as well as a photographer, and creates installations. But I was always drawn to sculpture. My dad was colourblind, although I'm not, so that may have influenced it. I just really enjoyed sculpture at high school. At lower high school I managed to do art as a first and second option, so I spent a lot of time making in the art department. It's not upper school, so it was a lot more play, and also after school I was reasonably shy as to hide out in the art department. I was always interested in making stuff, not so much. I've only ever done one oil painting in my life, that was in high school. And I struggled when I went back to university to do an arts degree in drawing. Most ceramic people do, because it's so flat, it's about illusions. And when I was in teachers college, I lived across the road from the ceramic studio. I was training as an art specialist, but I did very little general art. I did mostly ceramics. Had a key to getting in on the weekends and evenings. So I was always playing and making things right from an early age, and managed to slip through the cracks in the sense that I was the only person I knew who did art, a first and second option in high school, and then to have a key after hours ceramics department. And then as a mature age student, decades later, when I went through to the Crown, I managed to negotiate, have an exemption on wheel throwing. So I had negotiated to have double hand building every semester. For twice a year you'd have, so I had 4 units a year and hand building. And because I was doing a double, I wasn't being taught for half of that time, so I had a lot of time to play, and discovered this material called paper clay. I was shown this as a way to make tiles that don't warp, and very quickly started experimenting making stuff that's unusual, and then got invited to give workshops outside the university, and also gave one inside. So I started pushing the material. I just enjoy that play in a structural sort of way, and that really, I just enjoy that sense of just try this, doesn't work, try this, doesn't work. That experimenting, I suppose, to find what worked. And just drawing from, I watched my grandfather had a forge to heat up and heat and manipulate metal, and watching the kiln of the boat being poured, and working with wire for fencing and wood, watching him build a boat after school every day on the way home from school. That just gave me that you could make anything. I've got a brother who's building a plane, a fully functional plane in his garage. Another one who is just about finished building a whole house by himself, just learnt the skills as he did it. Another one's a geologist, jeweller, now doing sculpture. So it's a sense of just making things that I really enjoy to sculpture, and ceramics is so immediate. In woodwork, you've got to shape the pieces of wood and then glue it together. Paper clay, you can shape it by hand rather than using power tools. When it's dry, then you can stick it together, just like wood. Or you can work it with soft, just like clay or plasticine, Play-Doh. I just really enjoy that experimenting and playing, and a what if, and see it evolve, and learning as you go. Being an artist is actually quite lonely, although socially engaged with a lot of people over time, but initially I did it as a hobby in my spare time, on the kitchen table or outside on the picnic table, and there is no idea what I was doing. I didn't know any artists in Perth until I actually went to university and did an arts degree in my late 20s, early 30s. And in high school, everybody said you can't make a living from art. So that's one of the reasons why I didn't do my last year in high school. And one of the reasons I went into art teaching training, because they paid you, so had money to learn. But it wasn't until cycling through America and the UK, I actually started running to artists, and ceramic artists particularly, who were making a living from their art practice. When I came back to Perth, I decided that's what I would do. I'd start making outside on the picnic table at the back under the tree, gum tree. And I decided to have an exhibition. There's an empty shop around the corner that a young chap was trying to rent out. It was actually about to be demolished. So I had an exhibition there, but I had no idea what I didn't know how to invite people. Thought you just have a shop and people come and buy art. And of course, no one went into this dark and dingy, condemned building. It was very much a deflating experience. Had applied for university or an arts degree, but I thought, well, I'm just going to be an artist whether I get into university or not. I was surprised when I was accepted to university. It's almost like a comedy of errors in a sense, how I ended up becoming an artist, had this crazy, unrealistic idea, and it wasn't until I found some role models and met people that it was possible, gave me the courage to do it. And then even when I was a student, I didn't just do the course. I thought, I'm going to fall out of a cliff. I'm going to be back where I was before by myself, exhibiting in condemned houses and shops and no one coming in. I thought I'd start exhibiting and getting involved in arts organisations in the hope I could find some paid work to subsidise my studying. And started exhibiting in even interstate competitions, started putting the work out, won a prize, which was great. I formed a group of artists, art students, and we started exhibiting rather than falling off a cliff once we graduated. Because in an art school, you've got all the equipment and expertise, and you've got lighting, and you've got plinths, you've got firing, you've got virtually just about free art material. And started exhibiting, and we had an exhibition, and one of the lecturers offered to write a review of the exhibition, which was published. We knew somebody who was an editor. One of the group knew the editor of the National Association, and then someone else knew the editor of an international journal. So the work appeared, an image of my work as well as the review, appeared in International Journal, Ceramics Art and Perception, and I got my first commission, not from somebody local, but from overseas. In the days of letters, I got a letter that they'd been forwarded to me from the academic who wrote the article, had been forwarded from the publisher, had been forwarded from a curator in New York, and were writing on behalf of a collector in mid-states in America. So the first commission, and then I started writing them directly. Unfortunately, the work they wanted had already been sold, so then I had to make work and then figure out how to ship it.